Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to improve in Valorant, then I have the perfect video in the top 10 tips to instantly improve at Valorant. While you might have heard some of these tips before, I guarantee that you'll find at least something that will help you rank up in a way that you didn't think about before. Anyways, if you want to improve at Valorant, do yourself a favor and smash the big red button. Do it. Smash it right now. Anyways, without further ado, let's just jump right into it, shall we? So the first tip to instantly improve at Valorant, I have to include it here because it's the biggest problem that is plaguing many players, and it's crosshair placement. Do you think that you're going to easily hit headshots if you have your crosshair placed at the enemy's feet? Most likely not. You need to be walking around the map with your crosshair close to head level. This makes it far easier for you to actually flick to enemies' heads. It makes it easier because you have to flick far less in order to actually hit their head. If you're aiming at their chest or their feet, then if you want to hit their head, you have to do unnecessary flick movements, and most of the time, you're not going to flick towards their head at all, and you're just going to get killed. Keep in mind that if you're playing low to the ground up against enemies that are up on the high ground or on a slope, you need to adjust your crosshair placement appropriately depending on what terrain is around you. So definitely keep that in mind. Crosshair placement shouldn't be stagnant. It should be something that is adapted to your surroundings. Now moving on to the second tip to help you instantly improve is just track enemy ultimates and play accordingly. Before every single round, you can see exactly what enemies have ultimates or are close to ultimate. Now, if they have them, that's easy. Hey, I need to be cautious about that Raze. She has ultimate and she could punish us very easily. Now, it gets more complicated when you need to keep in mind that enemies could grab orbs or potentially get kills to get their ultimate. Let's say a Sage is very close to getting her ultimate and you know that she was playing a side around an orb. Maybe you need to be playing far more aggressive when she has ultimate, especially if she's one of the last people alive, because you don't want to give her an opportunity to res someone and turn a fight that you had advantage in 3v2 into a 3v3. That could be a way that you lose, and you could punish her during her ultimate, which is also very important. So this is why you need to track ultimates, to play around them, to more accurately make a good game plan. Tracking ultimates is a very, very important in the game of Valorant. Now moving on to the third tip is something that pretty much everyone that's played CS does instinctively, but if you never played CS, you might not do this. And it's switching back and forth between your gun and your knife so that you can run behind natural cover quicker, run away from obstacles, abilities, or after you get flashed. So because you get a huge movement boost when whipping out your knife, you should be able to seamlessly whip to it and run behind natural cover whenever an enemy is pretty much doing anything, any sort of ability that demands some sort of retreation or some sort of repositioning. You should definitely get in the habit of actually doing this often. Do not be running around natural cover with your op out if you're just trying to run away. It's going to make you go slower and you might get tagged and killed because of it. Now moving on to tip number 4, you need to be very hyper conscious of mix-ups. So sometimes enemies will purposely bait you with an ability like recon arrow. Let me give you this example. They will shoot a recon arrow and make it bounce multiple times around a corner, and you're instinctively gonna flick to the recon arrow, right? You want to shoot it. You don't want to give him information. But the thing is, he actually already knew you were there because you made footsteps, you made noise, so he's gonna instantly peek right after his recon arrow. So while you're flicking to try to shoot his recon arrow, he's actually just peeking you, and he can get multiple kills that way. Me, I play Sova a lot, and I've done that to many enemies. You need to be constantly thinking about what an enemy is trying to execute and what they're trying to do. Maybe going behind natural cover at the same time as killing the recon arrow is far better than just trying to straight up kill it, because you never know quite what the enemy is trying to accomplish with their ability, and you could be playing right into their hands, doing what you think is the right play. Now moving on to tip number 5, this is a big one, but it's if you see 4 people pushing a point, right? Don't assume that everyone of the enemy team is there unless you get confirmation. I can't tell you how many times people say something like spike down, and then players just will run to go rotate extremely fast and then get shot by someone flanking in the corner. And they'll be like, what the heck? Why is this guy here? Well, the thing is, just because there's a mass amount of people at one site doesn't mean they are there, doesn't mean there's no one guarding the flanks or there's no one lurking. Keep that in mind, and you need to evaluate risk versus reward. Yes, you want to rotate quite quickly, but at the same time, don't be completely caught off by surprise if there's only 3 or 4 people on a site and the last person is somewhere you might not expect. Now moving on to tip number 6. This is if you're holding a position solo, often it's best to back off and regroup with the team instead of trying to clutch 1v5. An additional life is worth tons in retaking a point, and it can be extremely difficult to fight 1v5. If you have utility that can slow down the enemy to help your team rotate, that's great, but don't full commit to a fight when your odds are very poor for you actually winning it. If you can regroup with your team and retake a point as a full team, it makes it far easier with pushing a site, checking angles, and trading out kills, as opposed to you just trying to stand your ground and die, and you leave your teammates in a far bigger disadvantaged position, because not only are they down in numbers, but they have to retake a site as well. It makes it very, very difficult. Now moving on to tip number 6, there's a lot of ultimates that have huge windows of time where you could punish them. Sage's res, for example, can be pushed up. If she's rezzing an enemy, you can push up and kill the Sage and kill the person that's rezzed. Sova's Hunter's Fury. You can easily whip out your knife, and if the Hunter's Fury is not directly on you, you can actually run at a Sova, and it's very difficult for him to cancel his ultimate and shoot you in time because of the giant, essentially, cooldown time frame to where before he can even shoot after his ultimate. Phoenix's run it back is very similar, where if you kill the run it back and you run to where he was at, you can often catch him off guard or kill him before he has a chance to fire at you. Or if you hide, you can actually sneak behind his run it back, which is something that is actually really cheeky, but it can get you a free kill on Phoenix in the process. A lot of these ultimates have substantial time where they're easy to punish if you play aggressively on them, so definitely keep that in mind and apply it to your play style. Now moving on to tip number 8, do not throw away fundamentals chasing a kill around the map. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a 1v3 because all 3 people alive have essentially lost all respect towards that one person's lethality, and they all are just like, hey, we already got this game in the bag, let's go chase around the map and try to kill him. Well, guess what? That person picks off one of you in a 1v1. Then he picks off another one. And then all of a sudden he wins the whole round because you lost all respect, you just threw tactics out of the window. Do not do this if you can help it. Try to play well into the end of the round and don't assume that it's already won when it's in fact not won. In this game, it's very easy to turn a numbers advantage into parity just like that. Now moving on to tip number 9, if you have site control and aren't under threat, let's say you pushed on, you smoked off multiple sites and your team runs onto site. You do not need to be planting around natural cover, and it's far better to plant out in the open, assuming that you're going to be alive to actually plant. This is because it makes it far harder on the diffuser. Let me give you this example. You plant on something like split on A, you're doing it behind the little barricade, and you plant it behind natural cover, right? Well, now all of a sudden, your teammates that have completely secured heaven, if they have heaven secured and the enemy comes to site, now they have to push the enemy because they don't have active line of sight from the spike to where they're holding. But if you put it out in the open, the places where that person could get peeked from is a lot. There's a lot of different places that they can get peeked from, and effectively, they can't try to defuse unless they've killed everybody. So you put your enemy in a huge pickle if you actually plant relative to how safe you are. Make it as hard as possible for them to defuse. Give them as little natural cover as possible for when they actually are trying to defuse. When deciding whether or not to go for a play to defuse or clutch, keep time in mind. If you're not going to be playing at a proper pace that gives you an actual chance to defuse, just run away and save instead of trying to clutch up. Oftentimes, you'll see people that want to clutch, they go in 1v3, but they're playing so slow that they might kill everybody, but the bomb goes off anyways. These are essentially useless because you're essentially gambling and you give yourself no chance to win. So either pick up the pace or just save altogether. Don't do everything right, but not think about the time. And then essentially, you lose a point that you could have clutched if you were just a little bit faster, your pace was a little bit more rapid. Anyways, if you liked any of these tips and you want to see more, do yourself a favor. Smash that subscribe button. Come on, look at how beautiful it looks. Anyways, if there's any tips I didn't include, definitely comment them down below so other people in the community can help learn from your valuable insight. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and until next time.